Hello and welcome to Reddit Rainbow. This is Kevin, and today we have a story from Malicious Compliance entitled, HOA wants me to join, so I do, just not how they expected. Now this is a long story, so we're going to do part 1 today and part 2 tomorrow. Listen and enjoy. So this story is about a property I own, but rent out. This may sound strange, but I don't think I could afford to live there these days. It's become somewhat exclusive. I guess this could also go in pro-revenge. I've used dollars here because it's what most people reading this will relate to. This doesn't take place in the US, and I've given an approximate dollar value for local currency. To answer the most commonly asked question, this is in South Africa. Warning, this is going to be very long, but worth it. Background. 1,000,000 years ago, my property was part of a large farm. I bought it about 30 years ago, long after the farm was broken up, but before there was any development near it. The piece of land I got was near the back entrance that joined into a dirt road that ran past. The most expensive plots were near the tarred road in the front. I originally bought a large chunk of the land intending to do some farming, but that never happened. About 20 years ago, some of the owners got organized. We'll call them the Organized Owners, or OO, and had the area designated as a municipal suburb. The municipality agreed to put in tarred roads, water, and electricity if a certain percentage of the properties were developed. A construction company, linked to the OO, went around contacting the owners who had land but no buildings, offering to build houses for us at a very reasonable rate, contingent on them getting a certain minimum amount of people signing up. While this was happening, one of the OO approached me and offered to buy half of my property. I agreed, and the money I got for the sale, which was about 4 times what I'd paid for the entire chunk of land 10 years prior, combined with a small loan from the bank, gave me what I needed to pay for a house to be built, and a fairly large and nice house too. I stayed in the house for a few years, and my mom moved in with me. I had decided to subdivide the property again and build her a house next to mine. But unfortunately, an undiagnosed tumor took her before the house could even be started. Well, it was diagnosed, but too late to do anything. Soon after she died, we moved out of the house and started renting it out. About a few weeks before we moved out, the OO I'd sold the land to started talking about starting an HOA. I wasn't interested and left soon after. About 2 years later, the neighbor OO contacted me again. There were 2 roads entering the area these days. The original tarred road that was near where the farmhouse had been and was entered from a fairly busy main road, and my dirt road back entrance, which was now a tarred entrance from a wide but not very busy municipal road. The HOA was trying to get the old farm road blocked off to improve security and decrease through traffic, and wanted the road next to my property to be the main and only entrance to the HOA community, and they were pressuring me to join. I said no, and I was adamant, and eventually they accepted that, but told me they wanted to have a sign near the road welcoming people to the neighborhood, and the only practical place to put it was on the edge of my property. They also wanted to build a little guard hut and have a security guard permanently monitoring who went in and came out, and they wanted to build his shed on my property. We came to an agreement whereby they would mow the lawn and pay the equivalent of about $35 per month in exchange for the land they needed. I was very happy with this arrangement since the property was fairly large and didn't really cost them anything since they'd already had a full-time gardening service servicing the HOA. All this happened over a decade ago. They eventually got the other main road blocked off, and the HOA is paying for Rent-A-Cop to be permanently stationed close to my property, as well as mowing my lawn and paying me enough money for takeaways for the family each month. I'm occasionally contacted by members of the HOA to get me to sign up, but I'm really not interested. My property has been rented to the same tenant for all these years, and everything there is going well for me. Until about 3 years ago, when someone scared the sea out of my tenant's young daughter by making strange noises and shooting a gun close to her bedroom window, 3 or 4 times over about a month. This scared my tenant, and I guess it scared the HOA, because they and my tenant contacted me with a proposal. I joined the HOA and they give me exclusions from the HOA rules, including exclusions from paying monthly fees, and in addition, they will build a wall around the entire HOA neighborhood, including electric fencing and security cameras. They told me they had wanted to do this for a while, but were unwilling to build the wall on property that was not in the HOA. I couldn't see the downside, and so agreed. The dishonest dealings. It took a little over a year to build the wall and get everything completed, which is quite fast. And then a month to the day after everything was done, my tenant got an HOA warning about his dogs barking. He told the HOA that while the property was in the HOA, it was exempt from the rules. The HOA told him they had canceled the exemptions, and that he had 30 days to comply. He contacted me and I opened some mail I'd gotten from the HOA. I had ignored it since I was supposed to be exempt from the rules and fees. Man, did I get a surprise. They had retroactively canceled the exemptions and were claiming that I paid late fees going back over a year, that the easement agreement had been canceled, and that they were retroactively canceling it a year back because the HOA contract allowed them to use small unused portions of HOA members' land for the common good for free, that I refund them the money that they had paid for the easement over that period, that I owed them money for the gardening service mowing the large lawn, and that I would be fined for each infraction my tenant failed to remedy. This started an expensive process involving lawyers and the court system. That ended with a judge telling me that what the HOA had done was mostly legal, and that they had the right to revoke the exemptions, but they had to give me 30 days notice. As I walked to my car, the neighbor, OO, the one who bought half my land so many years ago, told me that I was stupid for having refused to join when the HOA started, as I could have been a founder member, whatever that means, and that next time I should be sure to understand the documents I sign before signing them. The malicious compliance. Neighbor OO was right. I should have read the contract better. Also, I was interested in what it meant to be a founding member. Spoiler, nothing. And so when I got home, I grabbed the HOA contract I'd signed, as well as all the other documentation they had provided me with, and started reading. I was determined to break every rule I could find a loophole to break. I didn't get past the first page. While the street address of the property is used to identify it for all practical purposes, in the city records it has a unique property number that has to be used on legal records. When my mom moved, I'd subdivided the remaining property but hadn't started building on it. And when I gave the HOA the easement all those years ago, it had been the property I'd sliced off from my mom, and when the HOA set up the contract, they had simply used the property number from the easement. The next afternoon, the neighbor OO delivered and had me sign for 2 documents, one telling me that my exemptions would expire in 30 days, and one letting me know that the easement would no longer be required after 30 days. I think he was being a bit malicious here, because I lived about an hour away from the property and drove out himself. The revenge. Thank you for listening to Reddit Rainbow. In the next video, we'll take up part 2 with the revenge. Please take a moment to like and subscribe. It really helps me out. Thank you again.